They need to understand what it means to create these new messages through these new technologies. But we also have to make sure that children and students are thinking about how they can use this media to send their messages to create the communities that we want in our society.
We've got a teacher here who actually yes, please do. Introduce yourself and tell us what you've learned.
Well, my name is Fred Isaacs. I teach at Middletown High School in Middletown, New York. Here are a couple of my students. I think we've got evidence that media literacy education works. We've been doing a media literacy project, and we started off on the defensive, being negative, looking at our local paper, and now we've got our local paper looking at us because we took the offensive. We learned the techniques, and we're applying them, and we're putting out our own messages.
Just by chance, we have a little bit of that tape. Could we roll that tape?
This class at Middletown High was meant to give kids an introduction to television news, but they deserve an A+ in hardcore investigative reporting. Teacher Fred Isaacs says a routine assignment on garbage led to a scoop that could blow the cap off a local landfill.
They uncovered that a dump that was supposed to be for town garbage was actually used for industrial toxic waste from all over the New York metro area.
Despite the fact the landfill sits on top of an underground aquifer that provides the region with its drinking water.
We have proof of it on tape and on paper of everything we say.
Iron, metal, cans.
What about the purple?
Well, that's probably some kind of toxic waste in there.
Got that on video.
1.5 years ago, when we completed our first documentary, we hoped that the problems would be taken seriously and that a full investigation would have been conducted into what happened here. But it hasn't, even though we've tried our hardest to get tape into the right hands.
We gave a copy of our tape to Secretary Babbitt at a press conference with Congressman Hinchy.
There's been illegal dumping that has resulted in the destruction of our land and the poisoning of our water. And with the exception of Mr. Hinchy, we have had no help from elected officials that have been on our side. I was wondering if there's any way that you could help us.
Well, the answer is yes. My advice to you is keep after it. Be indignant. Be passionate. Don't get discouraged.
In a democracy, you have the press, you have media that gives us the information that we need so we can make logical, sensible choices. Do you think that people in Orange County know the real issues?
People in this area don't really know what's going on at this time, and it's kind of upsetting. You know, like, we have to get it out, you know what I mean?
I don't think we should get lost in details, but the idea of how many barrels are in there, that's important. And you're right, the former town supervisor said there were none, and now this supervisor is saying there are probably thousands in there. So, yeah, that's the question.
Asking questions at public meetings with the town supervisor has become routine.
Indivisible, liberty, and justice for all.
Yes, if you could identify yourself for the record, please.
My name is Julie Orlick. I'm a senior at Middletown High School. Several weeks ago when you were in, you had told us that you were working ahead of schedule with capping the dump.
How good of a job do you think the Kuslitz Engineering Company did?
Have you ever lost confidence in the DEC? Are there any designs for a leachate collecting system?
If you have concern for public health, then you would actually go beyond that and contribute more of the taxpayers' money.
My question is in reference to a quote you made on November 14th when we had you into the media center for an interview.
I would like to say that it is really marvelous to see these young people here tonight. They're approaching this issue not just from a repertorial investigative point of view, but from a scientific investigative point of view.
I wish we had more senior citizens come up like these young students. It's a pleasure to see democracy works when they come here. Give them your attention.
I'm proud of Allison, and I'm proud of all the kids. I think it's a great thing they're doing, and I hope they continue with it. And I hope other schools, other high schools in the area and other counties do the same thing.
This is basically the first time that I've seen her get involved with something that she thoroughly believes in, that she wants to stick to.
What's your reaction to all the media coverage you've been getting?
I think it's great because this way we can get it out, more people will realize what we're doing.
Nobody listened to us until we got the media. Nobody thought about what we were doing. And now that the media is involved in this, people are waking up and realizing, wow, these kids have been right. Maybe we should pay a little more attention and take actions to what they're saying.
We're dealing specifically with the news. And I think that TV news, radio news, Print news has let us all down in America. And what we're trying to do in the schools is be true citizens. And we've seen a gap, and we're trying to fill it by doing for our community what our papers and TV have failed to do.
Media literacy promotes better citizenship.
Yes. It's something that we can practice. It's something that we have access to now, and we should use it so that we can have many voices instead of just the few talking to all of us.
What would you say to Walter Goodman, who would say, is this really a valuable part of your education? Shouldn't you be in school reading Hawthorne?
I think it is. This is definitely helping me. It's helping me.
What would you say?
I think it's important because we've become media literate. We're doing this so we can help our community, but they're just showing it as we're just a bunch of kids doing something good.
Do you think it's a proper activity for school to be doing this?
Yes, it is, because if it's benefiting us, we're in the community, the school's in the community, of course it is.
Are you learning the school kinds of skills, reading, writing, and so on?
Yeah, we are. We're learning, I mean, we're learning how to communicate to people, we're learning how to, I don't know, I'm very nervous.
I think you're terrific. I think you can have my job. But are you impressed by this media literacy? Yes.
If I listen carefully to all of us today, the people I learned the most from were the two teachers. What Ellen taught me was that, in fact, media education is redundant. That is to say, education is media education. If you educate well and apply the educational and critical techniques to media, then you are doing important media education. I think that's what your classes were about. And when listening to Fred and his students, I think what I learned is that media education does have to expand. It does have to go from defense to offense. The political structures of the community, the kids got involved talking out there, and they were treated by the media as a cute story, but the story they were covering, a story about polluters and so on, got backgrounded by the very media they were investigating. That is real media education, real media literacy, and I think our teachers here have really taught us how much media literacy can do in the classroom.